Hey friends, it's Mrs. Alseri here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a work of art about a pattern snake. So we're going to talk about how to draw the snake and then what a pattern is and how we can decorate the snake with cool designs. So our learning objectives are that I can draw lines and shapes to create a pattern during our meeting. And I can write, speak, or draw to communicate my artistic idea to others. So this week we're going to use lines, shapes, and colors, which are elements of art. We talk about these three things a lot. What are some examples of patterns that you've seen outside? So a pattern is a repeating shape or design. Have you seen a pattern on anyone's clothes before? Maybe stripes or plaid? What other kinds of patterns do you know? In math, we talk about an A-B pattern, so you could say 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's a pattern. In art, it's more about the picture or the design that's repeating. All right, your supplies today, you just need a piece of paper and something to draw and color with. So markers and crayons or just paper and a pencil will work just fine. So we will be using line shapes and colors to draw patterns, and we will repeat the pattern to fill up our drawing of a snake today. All right, so some things that we're talking about today that are important are a pattern, which we said was line, shape, and colors that repeat in a work of art. Here's a pattern in nature. What do you see happening here? Looks like honeycomb from a beehive, right? Over here we have a pattern on her dress. And in this picture, do you recognize the place? This is Epcot Center, part of Disney World. And the architect that created this big dome made a pattern all over it. Looks like little triangle shapes. So you can start thinking about some exciting pictures that you can draw on your snake. First, we're going to listen to a story called Bees, Snails, and Peacock Tales by Betsy Franco. Here we go.
Bees, Snails, and Peacock Tales. In the day and the night, on the land and in flight, tucked in hollows of trees, in tide pools and seas, you'll find patterns and shapes from the snakes to the bees. Study a beehive and you will see the mathematical genius of the bee. The hexagons you'll find inside fit side by side, by side, by side. This math is passed mysteriously from worker bee to worker bee. Moths show their symmetry every spring, flitting at night on fragile wings. Notice the colors and stunning eyes, perfectly matched on either side. Attracted to windows or candlelight, moths are kaleidoscope shapes in flight. Some spiders weave delicate tapestries that shine in the sunlight and sway in the breeze. They spin lacy lines, then go round and round. Their knowledge of shapes is truly profound. They sit in the center, admiring their art, and wait for those flies who aren't quite as smart. If you should meet a peacock pair, the male's the one with all the flair. The female, who is rather plain, is dazzled by his patterned train. She watches as he struts and preens, his fan ablaze of blues and greens. Look up in the sky and seasonally, you'll notice it's filled with graceful V's. A knowledge of angles helps migrating birds to fly with less effort and also be heard. By forming a wedge, the swans and geese slice through the air and travel in peace. When a foraging ant leaves a scent on the ground, then the worker ants know where the food can be found. In a very straight line, they march home with the snack, knowing piece by small piece they can carry it back. In careful formation, they travel along. Their deep sense of teamwork is inborn and strong. By moonlight, a mouse who is bounding around leaves delicate prints all over the ground, in a pattern of 4 that repeats and repeats. 2 tiny front paws, 2 bigger back feet. On the dirt or on snow, the pattern you see makes the mouse part of nature's geometry. As he scurries about, nibbling acorns and seeds, and occasional insects, whatever he needs, till an owl takes flight to dine for the night, then the mouse and his footprints head out of sight. On diamondback snakes and on copperhead snakes, you'll recognize diamonds and triangle shapes. The snake rubs its nose on a branch or a rock, then takes off its skin like a knee-high sock. Off comes the old skin, and waiting below, repeating designs appear in a row. Sea stars have 5 arms or 6 arms or more, with sensors called eye spots that help them explore. They grow back an arm if they get into scrapes, for they take such great pride in their bright starry shapes. The animal known as the pufferfish does not want to be someone's gourmet dish. Whenever it senses there's something to fear, it puffs itself up. It's almost a sphere. The beautiful spirals on top shell snails are miniature castles with tiny details. The spirals go round, getting wider and wider till you get to the snail, the shell's inside her. So there you have it. I think you'll agree that creatures on land, in air, and the sea make patterns and shapes quite naturally.
All right, that's a great story. Hopefully that gave you some ideas of what patterns you'd like to draw on your snake. So I'm gonna give you the steps. First, you're gonna select a shape that you want your snake to be. So if you wanna try something pretty simple, you can start with a letter S, as big as you can fit it on your paper, and then make a little oval around the head and continue to make a second letter S. So it's like you're drawing 2 letter S's with an oval where the head should be. The head is a little bit bigger than the width of their bodies. You can also just try to draw a squiggly line and then make the head and repeat with a second squiggly line to follow the same shape. If you need to practice this a few times until you get it right, you can do it on the back of your paper. And then you're going to pick some kind of line design, and you're going to fill up your snake with that. So there are some cool different types of lines in this picture. You can pick straight lines, curvy lines, zigzags, castle lines, dashed dots, or bumpy lines. And then you start at the head. You can make a little eye and a tongue. The tongue can be a letter Y, if you see that shape in there. And then you fill up the body with some of those lines that you just picked. And just wait, we're going to put a shape inside of those line designs. That's our next step. So the next step is to pick a shape to draw, and in between each line that you just made, you can draw a circle, square, triangle, oval, rectangle, or a diamond. So if you wanted to make it like a diamondback rattlesnake, you could put diamonds in there. And you keep going until the head through the tail is all filled up. So you can combine some of those patterns and shapes and then color in your patterns. If you would like to do a pattern with your coloring, you can make it look like stripes. This is where you get to get really creative. Here are some examples that some people were working on. They're all very different. This person even put a pattern in their background if you finish early. This one has rainbow scales, so they made a pattern out of the snake's texture of their skin. Here's an overview of your steps to make sure you did everything. You have your supplies, the shape, the pattern, and coloring. Great job, friends! I can't wait to see what you make. If you'd like to wait for us to do this in class, we'll do it together. Or I hope you had fun with this video, and I can't wait to see a picture of your finished project. We'll talk soon. Bye, guys.